I never thought my wife of 25 years would sit me down at our kitchen table, where we raised 2 kids, and tell me she wanted an open marriage. But when she did, I gave her a taste of reality that tore our lives apart. It was October 12th, 2022, at exactly 7:34 p.m. I remember the time because the clock on the stove was blinking. Linda had forgotten to set it after a power outage the day before. Funny how small details stick with you when your world's about to implode. We were in our cozy Portland kitchen, the one we'd remodeled together a decade ago. The smell of roasted chicken lingered from dinner, and Linda was twirling her wine glass, a nervous habit of hers. But tonight there was something else in her eyes, something smug, almost daring. "Jim," she said, her tone way too casual for what was coming, "I've been thinking. I want to open our marriage." I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. "What?" She didn't even look at me, just stared into her wine like it held all the answers. "I'm bored, Jim. We've been together forever and I need freedom. You can see other people too if you want. It's only fair." My chest tightened like someone had wrapped a steel band around it. Bored? After 25 years, 2 kids, a house we'd built from nothing and more memories than I could count. She was bored? I forced myself to breathe, to keep my face neutral. Inside, I was a mess, shock, confusion, and a growing ember of betrayal, but I didn't let it show. Not yet. "Freedom," I echoed, my voice flat. "What does that even mean, Linda?" She finally met my gaze, and there it was, that bitchy little smirk I'd started noticing more lately. "It means I want to explore, Jim, meet new people, have new experiences, and you can too. Think of it as a way to spice things up. Spice things up, like our marriage was some dull recipe needing a kick." I wanted to laugh, but it came out as a choked grunt instead. "Are you serious right now?" Her smirk vanished, replaced by a flash of irritation. "Don't be dramatic. It's not like I'm asking for a divorce. I just need more." I set my fork down, the chicken suddenly tasteless. "More than what, exactly? More than me? More than our family?" She rolled her eyes, actually rolled them, like I was some whiny kid. "Don't make this about you, Jim. This is about me and what I need." And there she was. The real Linda, the one who'd been slipping out more over the past year. The one who snapped at me over trivial stuff like forgetting the trash, who sighed when I suggested a weekend getaway, who acted like I was a burden. I'd blamed it on empty nest syndrome. Our youngest, Ben, had just left for college, and Sarah was already out on her own. But this wasn't that. This was something colder, something selfish. I leaned back, studying her. Linda was still stunning at 58, silver-streaked hair, sharp blue eyes, the kind of beauty that didn't fade. She'd always been the spark in any room, the one who caught my eye in a red dress at a Seattle dive bar in 1995. Her laugh had hooked me, and we'd built a life. 2 kids, Sarah, 24, and Ben, 22, a home, and all the ups and downs that come with it. Job losses, health scares, teenage chaos. I thought we were rock solid, unbreakable. Guess I was wrong. "So this open marriage thing," I said, keeping my tone even. "Is this something you've already started?" Her eyes widened, just a flicker. "Of course not. I wouldn't do that without talking to you first." Liar. The word hit me like a slap. I didn't know how I knew, but I did. Maybe it was the way her fingers gripped her wine glass a little too tight, or the tiny twitch at the corner of her mouth. Linda was lying, and she wasn't even good at it. But I didn't call her out. Instead, I forced a smile, the kind that stays skin deep. "Okay, Linda, let's try it." She blinked, caught off guard. "Really? You're okay with this?" No, I wasn't. I was furious, gutted, and already plotting, but I nodded, voice steady. "Sure, why not? If it's what you need, I'm in." Her relief was instant. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "Thank you, Jim. This means a lot to me." I squeezed back, but my mind was racing. She had no clue what I was thinking. No idea I'd already caught her in a lie 6 months ago. Those late book club nights, the $85 hotel bar receipt I'd found in her purse. When I'd asked, she'd snapped, "Stop being paranoid, Jim," and stormed off. I'd let it go because I loved her, because I trusted her. Trust doesn't bend, it breaks. As she cleared the dishes, humming like nothing was wrong, I glanced at her phone on the counter. It buzzed, lighting up with a text. I couldn't read it, but I saw the name, Mark. Mark! I didn't know a Mark. But Linda did, apparently. I didn't say a word. Just watched her rinse plates and ramble about her day, already stepping into her freedom. And I was already planning how to turn it against her. Here's the thing about me. I'm 62, not some impulsive hothead. I don't yell or break stuff. I don't make a scene. But I'm damn good at the long game. And Linda, she'd just started one she wouldn't win. That night, in bed, her back to me, I stared at the ceiling, letting the anger simmer. I thought about our kids, our life, our vows, and I thought about Mark, whoever he was. Sleep didn't come. Instead, I planned. Step 1, find out who Mark is. Step 2, dig up proof. Step 3, make Linda regret ever saying open marriage. She wanted freedom? Fine. I'd give her reality instead. Before that night, I thought Linda and I were the perfect team, until I caught her first lie. It's funny how you can look back on your life and see it in 2 parts, before and after, before the lies, before the betrayal, before everything went to hell, and after, when you're left picking up the pieces, wondering how you missed the signs. Let me take you back to the beginning, to a time when Linda and I were just 2 kids falling in love, long before the word open marriage ever crossed our lips. It was 1995, and I was 28, working as a junior architect in Seattle. I wasn't exactly a ladies' man, more the quiet type, buried in blueprints and bad coffee. But one night my buddy dragged me to this dive bar downtown, the kind with sticky floors and a jukebox that only played songs from the 70s. I was nursing a beer, half listening to him ramble about his latest breakup, when I heard it. A laugh, bright and wild, cutting through the smoky haze. I turned, and there she was, Linda, leaning against the bar in a red dress that hugged her like it was made for her. She was talking to a friend, her head thrown back, laughing like the world was hers. I couldn't look away. She caught me staring, and instead of rolling her eyes, she smiled. Not a polite smile, a real one, like she knew something I didn't. 2 hours later, we were sharing a booth, talking about everything and nothing. She was 26, a graphic designer with a sharp wit and a love for indie bands I'd never heard of. I was smitten. She teased me about my dad jokes even back then, but she laughed anyway. When I walked her to her car, she kissed me on the cheek and said, "You're not like the others, Jim. Don't change." I didn't. And for a long time, that was enough. Our first date was at the Oregon State Fair, of all places. It was pouring rain, but Linda insisted we go anyway. We shared a funnel cake under a leaky tent, and she dragged me onto the Ferris wheel. We got stuck at the top, rain pelting us, and instead of freaking out, she leaned into me and said, "This is perfect." And it was. Cold, wet, and perfect. We were married 2 years later, in a small ceremony by the coast. Sarah came along a year after that, then Ben 3 years later. We moved to Portland, bought a fixer-upper with good bones, and turned it into a home. Linda quit her job to stay with the kids, and I worked my way up at the firm. We were a team, always. Sunday barbecues in the backyard, Linda knitting scarves for the kids every winter, me telling the same terrible dad jokes at dinner. These were the threads of our life. I thought they were unbreakable, but threads fray. Sometimes so slowly you don't notice until they snap. Fast forward to 6 months ago. Ben had just left for college, and the house felt quieter. Linda started filling her time with new hobbies, yoga, painting classes, and of course her book club. At first I was glad she was getting out, making friends. She'd come home late, smelling like wine and perfume, cheeks flushed, talking about how much fun she'd had. "Book club again?" I'd ask, trying to keep it light. She'd shrug. "Yeah, we're reading The Nightingale this month. It's intense." I nodded, even though I'd never seen her with a book. But I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? Then the late nights got later. Once she didn't come home until 2 a.m. I was up, worried sick, but when she walked in, she waved me off. We went to Karen's after, lost track of time. "Stop being such a worrier, Jim." I let it go. Maybe I was being paranoid. Empty nest syndrome, right? We were both adjusting. But then I found the receipt. It was a Tuesday morning. I was rummaging through Linda's purse for some change. I needed quarters for the parking meter. My fingers brushed against a crumpled slip of paper. I pulled it out, expecting a grocery receipt. Instead, it was from the Marriott downtown, a bar tab for $85 dated last Thursday, 7:45 p.m., the night she'd said she was at book club. My stomach dropped. Book club didn't involve $85 bar tabs at a fancy hotel. I stared at the receipt, my mind racing. Maybe she'd met a friend thereafter, but why lie about it? I waited until she got home from yoga. She breezed in, all smiles and sweaty glow, but when she saw my face, her expression shifted. "What's wrong?" I held up the receipt. "Linda, I found this in your purse. It's from the Marriott bar last Thursday. You said you were at book club." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you serious? You went through my purse?" "I was looking for change," I said, keeping my voice steady. "But that's not the point. Why were you at a hotel bar?" She crossed her arms, defensive. "It was nothing. I met a friend for a drink after book club." "Which friend?" "Does it matter?" She snapped, her tone sharp. "You're being paranoid, Jim. Stop trying to control me." "I'm not controlling you," I said, frustration bubbling. "I just want to know the truth." "The truth is, you're suffocating me with your jealousy," she shot back. "Maybe that's why I need some space." "Space?" I echoed. "Is that what this is about?" She huffed, turning away. "Maybe. I don't know, just give me some room to breathe, okay?" I swallowed my anger, nodding curtly, but inside I was seething. Her words cut deep, suffocating her. After everything we'd been through, I was the one suffocating her? I didn't push it. Not then. I let her storm off to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing fast. That night, as I sat in the living room, nursing a beer and staring at the TV without really watching, I heard her phone buzz on the coffee table. She'd left it there, face up. I glanced over, and there it was. A text notification. "Mark. Can't wait for Friday." My heart stopped. Mark. Who the hell was Mark? I didn't know any Mark. Linda had never mentioned a Mark. My mind raced. Was this the friend from the bar? Or someone else entirely? I could have picked up the phone, read the message, but I didn't. Not yet. Not. Instead, I sat there, letting the anger simmer, letting the pieces fall into place. Linda was lying to me. She'd been lying for a while, and now there was a name attached to it. Mark. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed to know exactly what was going on before I made my move. So I did what any rational 62-year-old man would do. I started planning. I've never been a detective. I'm an architect. My days are spent designing buildings, not unraveling lies. But that night, after seeing Mark's name light up Linda's phone, I knew I couldn't just sit there anymore. I had to find out what was going on, even if it broke me. The next morning, Linda acted like nothing had happened. She was up early, brewing coffee, humming some tune I didn't recognize. "Morning," she said, sliding a mug my way. I nodded, forcing a smile, but my mind was elsewhere. That text, "Can't wait for Friday," kept replaying in my head. It was Wednesday, 2 days until whatever Friday meant. I decided to start small. Linda's phone was my first target, but I wasn't about to snoop while she was in the room. She'd already accused me of being paranoid. Catching me red-handed would only make things worse. So I waited. Around 10 a.m., she grabbed her yoga mat and headed out, leaving her phone charging on the kitchen counter. My heart pounded as I picked it up. She didn't have a passcode, never had, as far as I knew. Trust, right? I opened her messages, scrolling to Mark. There it was. Can't wait for Friday. No reply from Linda yet, but I kept digging. The thread was short, just a few messages from the past week. Mark. Lunch tomorrow? Same spot? Linda. Yes. See you at 1, Mark. You're the best. Don't tell Jim. Ha ha ha. Linda. Never do. Don't tell Jim. Those 3 words hit like a punch to the gut. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. Who was this guy? And what the hell was Linda hiding? I took a photo of the thread with my own phone, just in case, then put hers back exactly as I found it. My next move was riskier. Her purse. That receipt from the Marriott bar was still burned into my brain, and I needed more clues. She'd taken it with her to yoga, so I'd have to wait. That afternoon, I called in sick to work, first time in years. I told myself it was to focus, but honestly, I couldn't concentrate on blueprints with my marriage falling apart. When Linda got back, she was all smiles again, chatting about her yoga instructor's bad playlist. I played along, keeping my tone light, but my eyes followed her every move. She dropped her purse on the couch and went to shower. Perfect. I moved fast, unzipping it and rifling through. Wallet, inside were dates and times, then a small notebook tucked into a side pocket. Some were crossed out, it wasn't her usual planner. This one was scanned new, the pages, leather-bound, 12:07 p.m. I flipped Marriott bar, the night of the receipt, set 19:01 p.m. Café Bleu, the lunch tomorrow from Mark's text, set 27:06 p.m. TBD, this Friday. No names, just locations and times. My chest tightened. This wasn't book club. This was a schedule, her schedule, for whatever she was doing behind my back. I heard the shower shut off. I snapped the notebook shut, shoved it back into her purse, and sat down just as she walked out, towel around her head. "You okay?" she asked, eyeing me. "Yeah," I lied, "just tired." She didn't push it, but I couldn't let it go. The next day, Thursday, I decided to follow her. She'd said she was meeting a friend for lunch, and I had a hunch it was Mark at Café Bleu. I felt ridiculous, like some amateur PI, but I had to know. I took the afternoon off, parked a block from the cafe, and waited. At 12:55, Linda pulled up in her Prius, looking sharp in a blazer I hadn't seen her wear in years. She walked inside, and a minute later, a guy showed up. Mid-50s, tall, graying hair, expensive jacket. Mark, I assumed. They hugged, a little too long, and sat by the window. I couldn't hear them, but I watched. Linda laughed, tossing her hair like she used to with me. He leaned in, touching her arm. My stomach churned. This wasn't a casual lunch. This was something else. They stayed for an hour. I took photos with my phone, zooming in on his face. I didn't know who he was, but I'd find out. As they left, he handed her a small envelope. She slipped it into her purse, glanced around and drove off. He walked the other way. I didn't follow her home. Instead, I went to the Marriott bar from the receipt. It was a hunch, but maybe someone there knew something. The place was quiet, mid-afternoon. I sat at the bar, ordered a whiskey, and struck up a chat with the bartender. A young guy, maybe 30, with a bored look. "Ever see a woman here, mid-50s, dark hair, comes in with a tall guy, grey hair?" I asked, keeping it casual. He shrugged. "Maybe. We get a lot of regulars. Why?" "Just curious," I said, sliding him a $20. "She's my wife." His eyes softened. "Oh, man. Yeah, I've seen her. Usually Thursdays, sometimes with that guy. They tip well." My grip tightened on the glass. "Thanks." That night, Linda was late again. Another book club. I didn't confront her. I was building a case, piece by piece, but the envelope from Mark gnawed at me. What was in it? Cash? A note? Something worse? Friday morning, I checked her purse again while she was in the garden. The envelope was there, unsealed. Inside, a key, not a house key, smaller, maybe to a car or a locker. No note, just the key, cold and metal in my palm. I put it back, my mind racing. A key to what and why? That's when her phone buzzed again on the counter. I glanced over. Mark, see you tonight, don't be late. Tonight, Friday. Whatever they were planning, it was happening now, and I wasn't going to sit idly by. I grabbed my keys and headed out, determined to follow her one more time. I didn't know where she was going or what that key unlocked, but I was about to find out, even if it destroyed everything I thought I knew about us. I've never been one for spy games, but here I was, tailing my own wife like some cheap detective. It was Friday evening, and Linda was getting ready for her night out. She'd told me she was meeting friends for dinner, but I knew better. That text from Mark, "See you tonight, don't be late," was all I needed to confirm it. Linda left the house at 7 p.m., dressed in a sleek black dress I hadn't seen before. She kissed me on the cheek, her perfume lingering as she walked out the door. "Don't wait up," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I forced a nod, my stomach churning. I gave her a 5-minute head start, then grabbed my keys and followed. She was heading downtown, toward the city's upscale district. I kept my distance, careful not to be seen. My heart pounded in my chest, a mix of anger and dread. What was I about to find? She parked outside a boutique hotel, the kind with a valet and a doorman. I watched from across the street as she handed over her keys and walked inside, her heels clicking on the pavement. I couldn't follow her in without being spotted, so I waited, my mind racing with possibilities. That's when I remembered the key. The one Mark had given her at lunch. It wasn't a car key, it was too small. Maybe it was for a hotel room. My blood ran cold. Was she meeting him here, in this hotel? I had to know. I parked my car and walked into the lobby, keeping my head down. The place was quiet, with soft jazz playing in the background. I spotted Linda at the front desk, talking to the clerk. She handed over the key, and the clerk nodded, handing her something in return. A room card, maybe. She turned and headed toward the elevators. I ducked behind a pillar, my heart racing. As the doors closed behind her, I approached the front desk, trying to look casual. "Excuse me," I said to the clerk, a young woman with a polite smile. "I think my wife just checked in. Could you tell me what room she's in? I want to surprise her." The clerk's smile faltered. "I'm sorry, sir, but we can't give out that information. It's against our policy." I expected that. "Right, of course. Could you at least tell me if she's meeting someone? A man named Mark?" Her eyes widened slightly. "I'm afraid I can't disclose that either. Is there anything else I can help you with?" I shook my head, frustration boiling inside me. "No thanks." I stepped away, my mind racing. I couldn't just stand here and do nothing. I needed a plan. That's when I saw the hotel bar, just off the lobby. Maybe I could wait there, keep an eye on the elevators. I found a seat at the bar, ordering a whiskey to calm my nerves. From my vantage point, I could see the elevators and the front desk. I sipped my drink, my eyes glued to the doors. 20 minutes passed, then 30. I was starting to think I'd missed something when the elevator doors opened and Linda stepped out, her arm linked with Mark's. They were laughing, her head resting on his shoulder, my grip tightened on the glass, my knuckles white. They walked through the lobby, heading toward the exit. I couldn't let them leave without knowing what was going on. I had to confront them, but not here, not in public. I needed more information. That's when I noticed something strange. Linda was wearing a necklace I'd never seen before, a delicate silver chain with a small pendant. It glinted under the lobby lights as they passed. Where had that come from? Had Mark given it to her? I waited until they were out of sight, then approached the front desk again. The same clerk was there, looking slightly annoyed at my return. "Hi again," I said, trying to sound charming. "I know this is unusual, but I think my wife might have left something in the room. Could I just pop up and check?" She shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir, but without a key or her permission, I can't let you in." I sighed, defeated. "All right, thanks anyway." As I turned to leave, I spotted a housekeeping cart near the elevators. An idea struck me. It was risky, but I was desperate. I waited until the housekeeper stepped away. Then crept back to the service elevator, my mind spinning. What were they doing in there? And what did that key unlock? I needed answers, and I wasn't going to find them here. I had to think of another way. Back at home, I couldn't sleep. The image of Linda and Mark together haunted me. I needed to know more about him, about their relationship. I decided to do some digging online. I opened my laptop and searched for Mark, plus Linda's workplace, a marketing firm downtown. After a few tries, I found him, Mark Thompson, a senior partner at the firm. His LinkedIn profile showed a handsome man in his late 50s, with a smug smile and a list of impressive credentials. But that wasn't what caught my eye. It was his marital status, married, with 2 kids, so he was cheating too. That gave me an idea. I searched for his wife, finding her on Facebook. Her name was Susan, a cheerful-looking woman with a profile full of family photos and vacation shots. She had no idea what her husband was up to, I was sure of it. Maybe I could use that. Maybe I could turn the tables on both of them. But first, I needed more evidence. I needed to know what that key was for and what they were planning. The next morning, Linda was in a good mood, humming as she made breakfast. I watched her, my anger simmering beneath the surface. She had no idea I'd been at the hotel, no idea I was onto her. "Had fun last night?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. She smiled, flipping a pancake. Yeah, it was great. The girls and I had a blast. I nodded, biting back the urge to call her out. That's nice. By the way, I noticed you're wearing a new necklace. Where'd you get it? Her hand flew to her throat, touching the pendant. Oh, this. It was a gift from a friend, nothing special. A friend. Right. I forced a smile. It's pretty, suits you. She beamed, oblivious to my sarcasm. Thanks, Jim. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to get out of there before I exploded. I'm going for a walk, I muttered, grabbing my jacket. Outside, I paced the neighborhood, my mind racing. I needed a plan, and fast. That's when I remembered the key. Maybe it wasn't for the hotel room. Maybe it was for something else. Something more personal. I thought back to Linda's notebook, the dates and locations. One of them was circled, Sep 27, 6 p.m., TBD. That was last night, the night they'd met at the hotel, but there was another date coming up. Oct 4, 8 p.m. The Vault. The Vault. I'd heard of it, a private club downtown, known for its exclusivity and discretion. Was that where they were planning to go next? I had to find out. But first, I needed to know what that key unlocked. Maybe it was for a locker at the club, or a private room. Whatever it was important. I decided to confront Linda, but not directly. I needed to be smart about this. That evening, as we sat down for dinner, I brought it up casually. Hey, Linda, I was thinking of joining a club downtown. Have you heard of the Vault? She froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. The Vault? Yeah, I think so. Why? Just curious. The necklace, the vault, it all swirled in my head like a storm I couldn't escape. Linda was living her double life right under my nose, and I was done playing the clueless husband. It was time to get answers, no matter what it took. First, I needed to know more about the vault. I couldn't just waltz into a private club without a plan. A quick Google search confirmed it was downtown, tucked away in an old brick building with no signage. Just a discreet black door and a bouncer who looked like he'd snap me in half if I blinked wrong. Their website was useless, all vague promises of exclusive experiences behind a members-only login. Great. I dug deeper, scouring forums and social media. Turns out the Vault was a hotspot for the city's elite, business execs, lawyers, and apparently cheating spouses like Mark Thompson. One Reddit thread hinted at private rooms for discreet meetings, which made my skin crawl. Room 7 had to be one of those. I needed access. Posing as a member wasn't an option. I didn't have the cash or connections to fake that. But every club has a weak spot. I decided to scope it out in person. Wednesday night I drove downtown and parked across from the Vault. It was 9 p.m. I called Premier Catering, posing as a manager from the Vault. "Hey, it's Jim from the club," I said, keeping my voice steady. "We've got an event on the 4th, and I need to confirm the delivery time." The woman on the phone didn't hesitate. "Oh, sure. We're scheduled for 7:30 p.m., usual drop-off at the service entrance. Anything else you need?" "Nah, just double-checking. Thanks." I hung up, my pulse racing. If I could intercept that delivery, I might slip inside unnoticed. I spent Friday piecing it together. I'd borrow a catering uniform, easy enough to snag from a dry cleaner with a fake pickup story, then show up early on the 4th. Heart-pounding. The delivery truck pulled up right on schedule. I stepped out of my car, clipboard in hand, and approached the driver like I belonged. "Hey, they sent me to help unload," I said, gesturing at my jacket.